Hello guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. This is Muscle Damage. In today's YouTube video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to structure your own workout plan. Now, I suggest you sit back, you grab yourself a coffee just like I have, and then we're going to discuss how to structure your own workout plan in order for you guys to build muscle. This is episode 3 of the full guide on how to build muscle. I'm just going to be posting a single video every single day for you guys to level up in the gym. So today we're going to be covering how to structure your own workout plan. So let's begin by talking about volume in workout plan, which is frankly one of the most important things when it comes to structuring your workout plan. So I'm going to be using a little graph that is going to help you guys, which is going to be linked in a couple of seconds, and basically I'm going to be explaining what volume means and what the regular volume, what the weekly volume looks like for you. So generally, I'm going to give you a brief explanation. Volume is the amount of sets and reps and weight load you do a week. So by the sets, I just mean, say for example, I would have chosen 20 sets per week. That means I would have to do 10 sets on Monday, 10 sets on Thursday, and that gets me to 20 sets. That is what that's about. Same thing for 10, same thing for 20. It's just structuring it in the week. So in terms of weight loads, it's how much you're lifting. I would generally recommend you lift heavy for your compound lifts, which we're going to be going over further in the video. And reps is just the amount of times you do an exercise. So if I was to do biceps, just 12 times up and down, each time is classed as a rep. So that is a brief explanation of volume. So the next thing I want to go over when it comes to structuring your own workout plan is training frequency. Training frequency is really important, mainly because without it you won't be able to progress in the gym. So generally you want to be training around 2 to 5 days a week. So that is what training frequency means, is the amount of training days you do in the week. And in terms of muscle frequency, I would recommend you train each muscle group twice a week, as it's recommended by scientists also. Training frequency is really important because it's just as important as volume and protein and the other factors we're going to cover. So training frequency is definitely a must if you want to grow muscle. So get that correct, get your training frequency and get your volume correct, and you will see gains. The next thing we're going to be talking about is exercises. Now, I've done a previous video that you guys might have seen on my YouTube channel. I basically just gave you guys some options, some exercises that you can choose for each muscle group. However, I'm going to go a little bit in depth in this YouTube video so you have a brief understanding of how to choose your exercises and how to go about and doing them. So the first thing we're going to cover is what to look out for when choosing exercises. So generally, when you're choosing exercises, you want to go for something that's enjoyable, but yet effective. So for instance, I enjoy just any type of bicep curls. So I would choose one of the most effective bicep curls variants, which is the incline version. So that is an option I would choose, and I would do the same for each muscle group as we go along. So that is what to look out for. The next thing to look out for when it comes to choosing your exercise is the weight load. So generally, when you're choosing an exercise, you want to keep in mind the weight load. So say if I chose the exercise that it requires a lot of weight load, like deadlift, then I'm putting myself at risk because I haven't mastered that movement yet, and especially with compounds, you may injure yourself. So that leads me on to saying that master your movement before you go ahead and taking it on. And also beware of weight load is what I would recommend. So in terms of choosing exercises, we just covered it. The top ones, which ones would I recommend? So I'm just going to give you 2 options for each, and you guys can choose. If not, then I would recommend you use the information I just gave out to structure your own workouts. However, I'm going to give you 2 options for each. Starting with biceps, I would recommend you do some sort of incline movement as well as regular bicep curls. So incline movement, I personally prefer doing incline dumbbell curls. Other movements, the flat movements, I recommend doing barbell curls or any type of hammer curls, which is going to hit your short head. The incline movements hit the long head. The straight movements like hammer curls, for instance, they hit the middle head of the bicep. Moving on to triceps, I would recommend you guys do some sort of overhead movement. This may be barbell, this may be skull crushers, as you might have heard of. Also rope works perfectly fine. And then I would recommend you do some sort of push down, rope or bar, any of the following. Shoulders, guys, I would recommend you do an overhead press, barbell, machine, dumbbells, any sort of overhead press, you name it, you choose it. It's totally up to you. It does not matter as long as it's an overhead press, which is going to target your middle and lateral delt. So that's how to that's the first exercise that I would recommend. The second thing I would recommend when structuring your workouts for your shoulders is going for some sort of shoulder fly, whether it'll be dumbbell or whether it'll be cable, it does not matter. Again, use the information I just put out there. Choose an exercise that is enjoyable. So if I enjoyed using cables over dumbbells, I would use that. It's just as effective. So do that, guys. You will see amazing progress. Moving on to chest, I would recommend using just any flat movement. So for instance, just regular bench press or regular dumbbell press would be perfectly fine. Incline movements, I would recommend you do any type of barbell incline or dumbbell incline. This graph explains how much weekly sets you should be doing in terms of growing muscle. The very minimum that you should be aiming to do is 10 sets, as you see on the graph, per muscle per week. And the very most you should be doing is 20 sets per muscle per week. Now, you could go over 20 sets, but generally, if you are a beginner, you should stick from 10 to 20 working sets per week. Now, what do I mean by this? Basically, on Thursday, you would hit 10 sets. On Friday, you would hit another 10 sets, and that gets you to 20 sets. And use the same to fit your needs. Okay, moving on to back. For back, guys, I'm just going to recommend you 2 exercises that you can go ahead and implement in your workout programs. The first exercise I would recommend is deadlift. Just a normal deadlift, the grip like this, not like this, not like that. Just stick like this. That is the best deadlift option for beginners. Second exercise I would recommend is any type of row. Simply barbell row, dumbbell row, cable row, any type of row you know of. Do that and it will instantly give you progress within like 3 weeks or so. You will see major progress in your back muscles. Moving on to legs, I would recommend you guys do 2 exercises for legs yet again. Squats is going to be your best bet because it's going to cover the major parts of the legs. I'm not going to get into depth, but just the major part of the leg is going to cover. Second exercise is RDLs, meaning Romanian deadlift. It's going to cover the hamstrings preferably and a bit of the glutes. So it's going to be your best compound movement in terms of targeting the rest of the muscle groups the squat doesn't cover. Pair these together and you've got all you need to grow big and humongous legs. So that is the exercise variants covered. I'm pretty sure I've just covered chest, back, legs, biceps, triceps, shoulders. For small muscle groups, forearms, traps, etc., I don't need to give you any sort of exercise specifically because those small muscle groups like the forearms, traps, etc. get covered in like compound movements, so you don't really need a lot of attention. Like they don't need isolation movements. So generally those type of muscle groups, just don't train them separately. Next thing we want to talk about is the most important concept when it comes to building muscle, which is progressive overload. Progressive overload allows you to grow muscle and get stronger in the gym each week or each couple of weeks, but for just now I'm just going to talk about how you can progress each week. So what do I mean by progressively overloading? So what I mean is, say for example this week, today I did 60 kgs of bench press. The next week it doesn't have to be on the same day, but the next week I would probably aim to do something like 62 or 63 kg. Now, there's a lot of methods of progressively overloading, but in this episode, I'm going to focus on the two easiest methods, starting from kg increase. So I'm just going to get a little piece of paper here to explain to you guys what I mean by this concept, so you have a brief understanding. So, say for example, I did on week 1, 60 kg for 12 reps, just a random number. And then week 2, I did 60 kg for 13 reps. This is what I mean. So this is the first method. So week 1, 60 kg, 12 reps. Week 2, 60 kg, 13 reps. This is what I mean by the first method of progressively overloading. So the next method we're going to get into is progressively overloading in terms of kgs. How can we do that? Well, it's the same thing as reps. Generally, it's just increasing your kg by 1 or 2 kgs, however much you can handle. Most gyms across the UK and the States offer those small plates, the 1.25, I'm sure you've heard of them or seen them, or you get the 2.5s as well. All you do is, if you're doing barbell exercises or dumbbell exercises, you just stick one of those discs at the end and you're able to progressively overload. Again, there's other methods, but I'm just going to focus on these two because they are the most easiest for beginners. Hope you understood me. I will link an easy progressively overload scheme down in the description that you guys can take and have a brief understanding of what it is. Why do we progressively overload? We progressively overload because without adding constant stress to the muscle, it won't be able to grow. So if I just stuck with doing my 5 kg dumbbell curls for 2 years straight without making any progress, no, I would have to go higher, etc. So this is what I mean, progressively overloading without adding constant weight, constant reps. The other method, without constantly adding stress, the muscle would not be able to expand and grow. So imagine this is your muscle. When stress is added to this little ball, it breaks apart and it grows bigger and bigger, creating a bigger ball, meaning more stress is going to form, and then you get what I mean. You constantly grow with progressively overloading. That is the concept. Next thing we're going to be talking about in this guide is, should you be training till failure? Now, this is a very common question asked within the fitness influencer industry. Should you train to failure or not? It depends. There's a lot of factors behind this. So generally, you should and you shouldn't, depending on how much volume you do weekly. So go back, rewind to the previous thing we covered, which was volume. Have an understanding of what volume is and come back to this part. If your volume is high, that means you do not have to train till failure. What do I mean by training till failure? Is when you complete an exercise till you cannot anymore and then you physically just combust. This next thing, when it comes to failure, is you should train till failure only when your volume is low. So failure is just another way of just adding more stress to the muscle, training till failure. So if your volume is low, you don't have enough stress and you want to create more, you would train till failure. Which method is good? High volume, low training till failure, or low volume, high training till failure? Which one's better? It depends. You have to experiment yourself. I cannot give you a straight up answer for this. You have to constantly experiment. There is no perfect answer for this. So the next thing we're going to be talking about, guys, is the importance of hitting all 3 heads. So this is one of the most important things you need to understand when it comes to growing muscle. So there's 3 heads in a muscle group, starting from the bicep has 3 heads, the shoulders, the back has even more, the chest, which is a big muscle group, the legs, etc. So I'm just going to cover why you should be hitting all those 3 heads, and I'm going to give you some exercises to hit all 3 heads of each muscle group. So if you do not hit all the 3 heads, I'm going to use my shoulder as an example for this. So if you do not hit all the 3 heads, I think you can see some of the heads of my shoulder. If you do not hit all 3 heads of the shoulder, it would not look as fulfilled, it would not look as big. So if I just focused on my front delt, which is this front bit of the shoulder, what's going to happen then? I'm just going to have like a massive front bit, and then my back of the shoulder is going to be skinny. No, you're meant to hit all three heads. So the way to do that, the way to hit all your three heads of each muscle group is to use compound lifts. Preferably these 3 compound lifts, and you'll be fine. You should be hitting deadlift, squat, and bench press. This is going to hit all 3 heads of your muscle. Lastly, guys, I want to get into additional information which I think you guys might find helpful in terms of growing muscle in the gym and how to structure your own workout program. So generally, we're going to be talking about is exercises, the rest periods between exercises. So how long should you be resting between exercises? Now, there is no perfect number. 1 to 2 minutes should be fine. There's no overcomplication to this. Depending on what movement you do, if you do compound lifts, heavy lifts, then you should aim to go to 2 minutes, even further than 2 minutes. But generally, 2 to 3 minutes for compound lifts should be fine. If you're doing isolation movements, 1 minute, a minute and a half should be perfectly good. Next thing we want to cover in this episode is, should you be doing cardio when it comes to growing muscle or not? Cardio is a perfectly good way in order to stay healthy, both mentally and physically. Cardio is your best bet. Improving your cardiovascular health is going to be amazing to you, especially when you're growing muscle. When should you be doing cardio? Please do not do it before your workout. Use your logic. If you do cardio before your workout, you're going to feel exhausted, tired, and fatigued, and you won't be able to complete your workout. However, if you do it after your workout, you'll be tired already, so generally you won't have to put in enough of your energy towards running. So I would recommend just light cardio after your workout or on your rest days, preferably. I do my cardio somewhere about 30-40 minutes. How I do this, I'm going to give you an actionable step. How I do this is run for 5 minutes, rest a minute, run for 5 minutes, rest a minute, till the timer of the treadmill is finished, and that's me done in terms of cardio. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is, how do you warm up properly? Now, in my day, I've seen a bunch of warm-up routines on YouTube. One of the guy goes that you should be using resistant bands. The other guy goes you need to be stretching for like 20 minutes. The other guy says this. The other guy says this. Bro, stop. I tried all of them. None of them do any specifically good thing, any specific thing. They don't bring specific results. So how do you warm up properly? Generally, you should be just warming up, doing your exercises. Doing these stupid 30-minute warm-ups is just a waste of your time. Use your time productively. Please, whenever you get onto a bench press, all you do is begin with the bar. 12 reps with the bar warms up the chest. And then you would add 5 kg. 12 reps with 5 kg or however many you can manage. And then 10, and then leading on to your minimum weight is how to warm up the muscles properly. So, slow tempo or fast tempo? I've been asked this a lot. Slow tempo meaning you complete the exercise slow, fast tempo meaning you complete it fast. In the middle is my personal opinion. The science says the same, I say the same, in the middle. You should generally not be doing it too slow, as you may, how do I explain it? If you do it too slow, you're more in a risk of injury. So, and if you do it too fast, you're just not doing anything at all. So generally somewhere in the middle, like a light movement, whatever feels natural is probably the best way to go. So last thing we want to talk about is how to track your progress. How do I personally track my progress, and how you can track your progress too. What I do is I would grab a piece of paper, log in every single bit of my workouts. For instance, I do chest, right chest, 60 kg, blah, blah, blah. Then I would do back, right back, how much sets, how much reps, etc. And then I use a memo pad. If none of you know what a memo pad is, it's just simply, let me get mine out. It's just simply something like this. Just a little memo pad. Mine is from Bulgaria, it's a really good, I keep all my notes in here. So just a little memo pad that you can carry around with you to track your progress. So I would recommend using a memo pad. Sticky notes do the same. You get the gist. And then at the end of the week, I would reflect back to what I've done, and I would see if I progressed or not. And the next week, I would take my notes that I just mentioned from the previous week and I would compare it to the next week. So I would see which one I've missed, what I've progressed in, and what I haven't in. That is basically a brief understanding of how to track your progress and how I track my progress. If you want to receive your own workout program, if you want to just a simple brain dead version of how to grow muscle, please don't be shy. Email me in the link in the description. I will send you a fully scientific based hypertrophy workout program in terms of growing muscle. In my opinion, it is a really good workout program. I've been running it myself to this day, and I have a really good story behind it. I'm not going to tell it in this video. I've told this story multiple times on my YouTube channel. So please hit me up on the email list. I will send you that workout program lovingly, and if you want anything else, please feel free to email me. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. This will conclude the full YouTube guide on how to structure your workout program. If you want to see more content like this, hit that like button and subscribe. Generally, thank you for watching. See you.